This is the world's loudest alarm clock. I built it because I like to sleep, and regular alarms just don't cut it for me. To start this project, I would need a standard alarm clock. For a baseline, I measured just how loud this standard alarm clock is, and for comparison, that's about the same volume as a hairdryer or a blender. So I bought this. This is a personal defense alarm keychain. Just pull on this and it gets pretty loud. So this personal defense alarm can get up to 130 decibels, which is an improvement over the analog clock. But
I still don't think that's loud enough.
And that's why I bought this car horn. Hi, Beans. This car horn is capable of producing sound up to 300 decibels, which is a marked improvement over our 130 from the personal alarm. Quick point of clarification here. So 300 decibels was the advertised volume output of these horns when I bought them off of Amazon, but when I measured them myself, they're actually between 145 and 150. Now, you might think that's a far cry from the 300 decibels that was advertised, and it's not that much more compared to the defense alarm. It's 125 to 130. And that brings up an interesting point about sound and volume. If you take a sound that's, say, 60 decibels, for example, and compare that to a sound that's 70 decibels, the difference between them is obviously 10 decibels. But the difference in total volume is doubled from 60 to 70. The way the scale works is exponential. It's not linear. It's kind of like the earthquake magnitude scale. So even though these horns are pushing out 145 to 155, they're still significantly louder than the alarm that's at 130. So, long story short, don't believe Chinese product data you find off Amazon, and let's get back to testing the horn. So, in theory... So to make these components work together, I'll be wiring them into an Arduino. The electrical signal from the alarm going off in the analog clock will serve as a trigger for this to regulate my personal alarm and my car horn. The only caveat here is, I've never used an Arduino or any microcontroller, so I have to learn that real quick. So after some YouTube tutorials, some playing with Harbor Freight wiring, and some back and forth with ChatGPT, I finally had a slight grasp on the code and wiring for this Arduino. Alright, so the electronics are an absolute mess, but I believe I have a feasible prototype here. Code's ready to go. And I've already set the analog alarm clock to go off, and since I have the back off, when I turn it on, it's just going to spin this motor. It would ring this bell if it was put together, but it'll spin this motor, the Arduino will interpret that as a signal, and it should activate that relay to turn on the car horn and simultaneously set off the personal defense alarm. Here we go. Okay! That's a successful test! So I've just been researching noisemakers and other loud noises to incorporate into this alarm clock, and I found these things called Aztec death whistles, and they sound... So I think I'm gonna print one, and I'm pretty sure I got a novel idea for how to incorporate it into the wiring. Alright, hot off the printer, my very own death whistle. Let's see how it sounds. So I don't think there's any tricks to this. You just blow into the hole at the top and it should make the sound. So let's see what it sounds like. What the fuck? Oh, that's horrible. God, that's gonna suck to wake up to. So my plan is to plumb the death whistle into a can of compressed air, and then I can control that can of compressed air with a motor that's regulated by my Arduino when everything else goes off with the alarm. Yep, that'll do. The last thing I wanted to do was to solder in some leads with alligator clips to the back of the alarm. This way I could easily connect it into the Arduino and remaining circuitry. Plus, if for any reason I wanted to, say, travel and use this without all the car horns and noisemakers, I could. But Lord knows I'd probably have some difficulty getting an alarm clock with wires onto a plane. All that was left to do now was to wire in the motor that controlled the death whistle. And with that, my perfect alarm clock was done. All that's left to do now is test it for real.
Jesus Christ. Fuck. God damn it. Oh.
My ears are ringing. So the alarm works. You can find it for sale now wherever artillery shells and jet engines are sold. Like and subscribe so I can buy some hearing aids.